The movie starts with a couple walking in the forest. A bird watcher and his girlfriend are focused on finding a rare, endangered owl. Suddenly, his girlfriend finds that they are being followed by a giant bird lurking in the shadows. They are chased away from the forest by the evil bird, running for their dear lives. Then we cut to Mystery Inc. gathered together. Mystery Inc. have captured a monster that has been terrorizing a local chemical lab. They unmask the evil monster that is actually the company accountant in disguise. She was trying to steal the company formula to use on her own. She is taken off to prison. Velma tells the gang that they need to check up on her sister. Velma's mother called and believes that Velma's sister's, Madeline, is at a school that may be haunted by a griffin, a mystic creature that is half bird, half lion. So the gang heads off to solve the mystery. On the way to Madeline's school, Velma explains to the gang that the school belongs to a magician who practiced dark magic. The gang finally arrive at the magician's school that Madeline attends. Madeline welcomes them all with open arms. They then meet Merlin Whirlin and his former assistant, Crystal. They also meet Marlin, the resident stagehand who helps them with their bags. Unknown to the gang, they are being followed by a creepy groundskeeper. Madeline tells the gang about the school's history. Velma asks her if she knows anything more about the griffin. Madeline believes that there is nothing to be worried about. The gang and Madeline join Merlin Whirlin for a welcome feast. Meanwhile, Madeline takes Shaggy and Scooby to the top of a hill where she shows them an ancient structure that was built before the castle. It is a sundial that shows the history of the man who brought the castle from Ireland. Suddenly, they are attacked by a griffin. They manage to escape on foot. At the castle, Freddy, Velma, and Daphne hear the distant screams from Shaggy, Scooby, and Madeline. Freddy opens for them just in time. They are saved. The following day, all the students leave the castle. They have had enough of being hunted by the mystic beast. The Mystery Inc. gang decide to stay in hopes of solving the mystery. Calvin Curdles arrives and tries to offer to buy the castle from Merlin Whirlin. Calvin Curdles is a wealthy candy manufacturer who is looking to expand his operations, but Merlin Whirlin declines the offer. The gang attends several classes at the school in hopes of getting a better understanding of the griffin and magic. That night, Velma investigates the castle and bumps into all sorts of old devices used for magic tricks. She also bumps into Daphne, who is practicing ballet. They then stumble onto a secret passageway that leads them to a room full of artifacts. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo end up bumping into the housekeeper and one of the magician's assistants. They're giving a demonstration of all the props by Marlin, who we find out he is Merlin's brother. The caretaker tells Merlin and Marlin that she doesn't believe in all of the props. She thinks magic should be real, like how it once was in another time. Madeline tells the gang that she knows where an ancient magic staff is. They're interrupted by the groundskeeper who warns them to stay clear from looking for the staff. He tells them Lord O'Flannery arrived from Ireland with an evil ghost to protect him and the staff, that the ghost has been watching over O'Flannery's dead body for decades since his death. Velma tells the gang that they need to investigate his body, so they go off into the night to find it. She doesn't believe in all the stories of magic and curses. She thinks she will find clues at Lord O'Flannery's gravesite. They arrive at the spooky island, and Fred stumbles into a hole in the ground. It's an ancient building filled with monoliths. They begin moving the monoliths around, and a secret door appears. They enter the door and find O'Flannery's dead body with the staff. Shaggy manages to get the staff from Lord O'Flannery's cold, dead hands when suddenly the ghost arrives. The ghost chases them off the island and they hop on a boat and sail off. They think that the worst is over when suddenly they bump into the griffin. It flies down after them and another chase begins. They throw explosives at the griffin and that buys them some time. They manage to get to the castle in time but realize they left the staff outside. Madeline goes and fetches it and she is captured by the griffin that flies off with her. Shaggy runs out for her but it is all too late. The gang decide it's time they need to save her, so they take all sorts of magic props in hopes of saving Madeline's life. Meanwhile, Merlin Whirlin decides that it may be a good time to close the school down. Calvin Curdles appears and offers to buy it from him. Velma tells Merlin that he should hold off a little bit while they go off and find some clues. Velma is still suspicious of all the events of the night. The gang goes off to the griffin's lair where they bump into the ghost from the lake, and suddenly Scooby trips on a wire and the ghost disappears. Velma spots cameras all over the room and they realize that something may be off. Velma's suspicions were all true. They might just be tricks, and smoke mirrors all around them. They hear Madeline's calls and they follow, looking for where she might be. They bump into the griffin and it chases them. They're cornered, and it may be all over when Shaggy uses the staff. The gang throws all of the magic explosives at the griffin. They think they've won when they see the griffin reappear. Shaggy and Scooby are cornered once again. They then use the staff to enter the tower Madeline is locked in. They get to her on time, but they need to find a way out. Madeline is fine and hasn't been harmed by the evil creature. Shaggy and Scooby and Madeline get the idea that they should climb out a window. They almost reach the bottom when suddenly the griffin grabs them and flies off. All the while, Merlin Whirlin is about to sign off the deed to his school to Calvin, when Velma and the gang run in just on time and call him out to see what is going on. Shaggy manages to use the staff to lead the griffin to the ground. The griffin is stuck on the ground and they see it is attached to a giant zeppelin. The griffin was a puppet the whole time, being controlled by Marlin, Merlin's brother. Marlin was using fog machines and strings to operate the griffin through the air. Marlin also operated the ghost using projectors. Marlin decided to try and scare people off and sell the castle to finance his own magic act. The whole time, Marlin had grown tired of being a magician's assistant. Marlin was tired of being in his brother's shadow and thought that coming up with his own act would be the best way to step away from it all. Merlin is upset, but he forgives his brother. Velma exposes Amos the groundkeeper for being a part of the act along with Calvin Curdles. Calvin Curdles lets them know that he wanted to buy the castle to give it to Mrs. Roundbottom, the housekeeper for Merlin Whirlin's castle. Calvin Curdles fell in love with Mrs. Roundbottom some time ago when he was still poor and promised to himself that he would become something and offer a huge gesture that would make her love him too. Mrs. Roundbottom is happy with all he tried to do for her, and she gives him a huge kiss. The gang is thanked by Merlin and Marlin. Sometime later, Merlin, Marlin, and Madeline create their own act. They present it to the crowd of students and guests, and the crowd loves it. Thrilling film comes to an end. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.